do you think about the camels? How were the camels?
They were horrible animals. They were horrible. Of all the animals in the entire zoo that we were allowed to get close to, physically proximal to, they were the most undesirable to be around.
Why?
They're mean-spirited animals. They spit at you. They get their hoofs and scrape them against your shins. They do all kinds of things to aggravate you and to insult you. They're just mean animals.
What about the elephants?
The elephants are very nice. They don't do anything bad, and
You have to clean up their poop?
yeah, I'm sure we did. I don't remember that, but I'm sure we did.
I remember you telling me that you had.
Camels, elephants, llamas. We took the kids for rides on top of the llamas, the camels. I don't remember taking them on the elephants, but I'm sure we did. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been there. You'll excuse the expression. The cat house was right across the way from where we were too, and that's where all the cats were, the leopards, the cougars, the lions, the tigers. They were all in that place. So it was right next to us. I mean, and you could go and see them, or they had outside stalls and inside stalls. The outside stalls where people could be on the outside and walking around in the zoo, and they could see them. They had cages that were accessible to those people walking around on the outside of where they were housed. Then when they fed them, or when the weather was really bad, they would move them inside and lock them out of the outside stalls. The feeding, these are things that people were never permitted to see. And if you see it once, it'll make a lifelong impression on you. They won't let you see them feed because the scene is so horrible and so intimidating to humans that it's not provided to the public. And what happens is they close the outside stalls off and move the cats inside. And inside, it's basically a concrete building with bars. And when they get inside, and when they start feeding, the cats start roaring, and the sound is unbelievable. I mean, there is nothing like it in the world. I'm an old guy. I've never seen or heard anything like the sound of the cats feeding, which they never permit the public to see.
Right.
It's such a savage display that would destroy everyone's attitude about the animal, the entire zoo.
What was the job, and how?
I was a soda jerk.
Yeah. And why were you so good at that at Crumbs?
Each soda jerk had a section of his own, and he was responsible for taking care of the people in that section. And the large sections had probably 12 to 14 seats. And you had to take orders. Well, an order in a soda fountain can be a little complicated because there's the ice cream flavor, what kind of syrup to put on them, and a number of other varieties.
Whipped cream, chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah, all the syrup choices. So you do about half a section at a time. So that's 7 people. So you go down the list and you hit each one and you say, what are you going to have? And they tell you, I want a hot fudge sundae with vanilla ice cream. This one wants a hot fudge sundae with strawberry ice cream. So by the time you finish taking 5 or 6 or 7 orders, there's a huge number of varieties or alternatives. I could memorize all of them when I took them,
Uh-huh.
I would take them and that was an unusual thing that I could do. And it made me a very rapid, I could do everything very fast.
And how many sodas could you hold in your hand?
Sodas, I think about 4. Sundays, maybe 5 or 6.
In your hand at one time?
I did 6 Sundays at a time. Now there's ice
So
cream.
you were holding them like this, and there was one
Yeah,
in
right
between
here,
you?
1, 2, 3, 4, 1 in my palm. So there were 5 in my hand and I would carry 1. So that was 6. So then you think of all the alternatives, the flavor of the ice cream, the type
I
of
get it. I
syrup.
know, I get it. It must
So I
have
could
been fun.
memorize that. I could memorize all of
It
it.
must have been fun to watch you. Well, how
Basically,
about the demonstrations that you did on a
oh,
certain
I
board?
demonstrated Pogo Sticks. That was,
And what happened?
I fell off. I'm jumping up and down on the pogo stick on the floor of the store. And there's, on the bottom of the stick, there's a rubber stopper. And I was going up and down, making us, and all the people were watching me. And it was Christmas time, so it was crowded. And I was big enough so that I was jumping pretty high. The stick comes down and goes right through the rubber stopper on the bottom. And the stick slips on the floor. I took a huge flop. I dislocated my elbow. People were horrified. They thought I got killed when I fell. It was a real hard fall because
I bet their purchases of pogo sticks went way down that day.
probably destroyed their pogo chip visit for at least a year. Rita Moreno worked with me. She was one of the kids that worked there.
Yeah.
She was the same age as me. That woman is close to 90 years old.
I know she is, and she looks amazing. But wait, so what happened? How did you encounter Rita Moreno one day when you opened an office door?
I don't remember that.
Oh, you're kidding me.
So many things happened.
You opened the door and it was Rita Moreno in there with some guy, and they were like getting it on.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Well, that happened. Okay.
If I told you it happened, it happened.
You've told
She
me
was
that.
a sexy bitch, I'll tell you. The Grand Central branch was probably the first or second largest post office in the United States. And I'm on the line. It looked like I was on almost one of the last people on the line. You just went all the way. And what we were doing is signing up for our punch card numbers and stuff like that. So I'm on the line with all these degenerate guys. These are guys that don't work all year round and get a job. They start hiring for Christmas in August. And that's when I went there. And I'm on, my father got me the job through the North End Democratic Club. It was like a political payoff job,
Yeah.
And I'm waiting on the line, and they had 2 lines. One was for your number, and the other was for your work assignment. So you get the number, your punch card number, and then you get, after waiting like 2 hours to get to the end of that, then you get on the other line and you had to go all the way up, and they would tell you what your work assignment was. So I got my number, and then I get to the end of the second line, and I'm waiting to go, and then I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck do I want with the work assignment? I got my payoff, my punch card number. What do I need that for? So I left. I left.
And so what did that mean for you?
I had my punch card number, but I didn't have a work assignment. So every day I showed up for work, I punched in, I went to the men's room. I had 2 books. And I read for 8 hours every day for a very short period of time. And then one day, one of the supervisors, they come through the fucking men's room. They look over the store and they look down, there's this guy. This guy was, imagine this is, this guy goes home after work and he's got kids and a wife and everything. And this is his job, looking over the stalls to see. I mean, that's his aspirational conclusion. I mean, he gets this to the point where he's looking, and then he sees me in there. You can't make it up. So that's what people do for a living.
And just think, Daddy, if you'd been in that second line, that could have been your assignment.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Did you get
he
fired?
comes by one day, he looks over the top and he sees me in the store. I had a stack of books that high in the store. And I'm sitting on the crap of reading, as I always did. And he says, "Hey, did I see you?" I said, I knew the jig was up. So I got out, and he gives me the worst fucking job in the post office. I mean, and you know, that's not good.
Wait, did you get fired?
No, they don't fire you.
So that was it.
You'd have to do it
Get
again.
out, then you came back the next day and did the same thing?
Oh, no, I couldn't do that. He gave me a job. First of all, I didn't have a job.
I
I
see.
mean, I had a punch card number, but I didn't have a job. I got paid, but I didn't do anything. I was a busboy. This guy, black guy, was like he went down to Florida in the winter. The woman had a hotel down there in the winter. She went there. In the summer, she had a hotel in the Bourse circuit. He worked in both hotels. He was like a surrogate son to this black guy. The black guy spoke perfect Yiddish.
Oh my God.
Perfect.
That's amazing. That's
He
cool.
followed this woman around and he spoke Yiddish, and he was not a busboy, he was a waiter. And he had customers that wouldn't stay at the hotel unless he was the waiter on them.
That's
And he was a guy who was older than me, but he was probably in his 20s. And he went out with us every night. He was a fucking riot. He was a riot. I think he was a homosexual also, I think. I mean, the guy, but he was smart as he could be. He spoke Yiddish perfect Yiddish. And the customers, well, you can imagine, they love this guy.
the amusement park that was across the river on the Palisades.
Oh, that fucking job. Oh, that was bad. I got a job in Palisades Park. They didn't have any pizza in Palisades Park. So they gave me a pizza place, a stand where I made and sold pizza by myself under the roller coaster. In other words, the roller coaster made a dip, and underneath the dip was my pizza place. It was unbelievable, the noise level. That's probably why I'm deaf now. Yeah, I got my hearing. Those fucking guys, and I lost my hearing. I didn't lose it then, but I'm sure it has something to do with this.
Okay, so anyway, you're under there. It's loud as hell.
Making pizza there, and it was a trial run because people who owned the park were afraid it was going to litter the park with pizza crust, you know. Anyway, I was making pizza and I was good at it, but I was under the roller coaster. And one of the dips, and I was under the dip, and the roller coaster was coming down, roaring. It was deafening. I mean, it's a suicidal job. So
Yeah.
I'm working in this thing. I didn't mind the noise, really. I didn't mind it. The pizza was mediocre I was making.
Right.
Then I'm supposed to get paid after, I don't know how long, a week, 2 weeks. I go into their office. They had a motley office underneath one of the rides. I don't remember. I go into the office. They're two brothers. I think they were Italian guys. So the guy gives me my paycheck. I open it up. It's way less than it's supposed to be. Now, you know, I look at it and I said, this is not enough. So the Fucking guy. What a pair of balls he had. He looks at me and says, "It's enough for you." So I look at him and I dive across his desk and I start punching him in the face. And his brother comes up, and in 2 seconds, the two of them are beating the shit out of me. They beat me so bad. I mean, they bruised everything on my body. There were two of them, two guys and one 18-year-old boy. You know, then they were having the time of their life. But I got some licks in too. So I'm walking out after they beat me up. I'm walking out of the park with what's left, with my check, which wasn't enough to begin with. And I looked down, and my daddy had given me a wristwatch. It was broken to pieces. So for my trouble, I had a broken wristwatch, half a paycheck, after I don't know how many, a week or two of work. That's it. And I was a bloody mess on top of it. But I've got my licks in too.